Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the MSMF Wealth Management Studios. Today, we want to take a few minutes and talk to existing advisors who are really looking to build an even greater wealth management practice. And obviously, the thought process might be you would partner with us to get that done. So today, I'm joined by Miss Elicia Bailey. Elicia, how are you?
I'm great.
Elicia, you are the Senior Operations Manager. It's 3 words in the title.
It is.
Senior Operations Manager for MSMF, as well as the Missouri Regional Office of Cetera Financial, which we call the MRO, right?
Correct.
And 22 years.
22
That's
years.
a long time. Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Happy
Also,
to be here.
I'm sorry, Jill Strampel. Jill, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I like to say I'm vertical. That's a good
Oh,
thing
there you
today,
go.
right? That's a good thing. Jill, you are a relationship manager for Cetera Financial Specialists for now 20 years?
20 years. 20 years in December.
Wow.
Correct.
Nice.
You guys make me feel young. Not so much.
Did you get a watch?
No, I got a vacuum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Even better.
Love it.
It's actually
Love
really
it.
nice.
All right, so thank you for taking the time. We're going to have a little bit of fun today, as you can tell. I want to talk about kind of why you would consider Cetera Financial Specialists in the Missouri Regional Office to kind of take your advisory practice, your wealth management practice to greater heights. And Elicia and Jill are going to help me today kind of walk through really what it is that we do, how we help our advisors, and really how we get folks on that path to a bigger and better and more fulfilling wealth management practice. So Elicia, maybe take a couple seconds and let everyone know and remind them kind of how they came to be seeing this podcast and where they may have come across this.
Sure. So you would have gotten a letter from us, our office, hopefully you. You would have gotten maybe a text message through our My Rep chat that we use at Cetera, or potentially through our website, some sort of social media, whether it be LinkedIn, whether it be Facebook, or our website. So you would have gotten something with a QR code. You clicked on the link, and it brought you here.
Yeah, here we are. Superb. All right. Thank you. And as I mentioned, 3 key things we want to make sure we cover: who we are, what we do, and how we help our advisors. And I think to start with who we are, Jill, let me ask you, because you had a very long experience with Cetera through some of those changes and really where the company is in a great spot today. Maybe you could give everyone a little bit of background about who Cetera and Cetera Financial Specialists, who we are.
All right. I would love to. So I am the relationship manager for one of the regions of Cetera Financial Specialists, which is a broker-dealer, and there are 8 broker-dealers currently under the Cetera umbrella. We have over 12,000 advisors now, so there's a ton of technology that you can use. There's a ton of opportunities you have. We also pride ourselves on not forcing you down a particular path to make it easier for us to process business and do things. So there is a huge amount of what you want to do. You usually can do what you want to do, and we can make it happen. But because we're so large, we're structured a certain way, especially Cetera Financial Specialists, so that it makes it feel smaller. You have a designated internal and external. So for instance, you guys have me. Other advisors do too. And then you also, the Missouri Regional Office, takes it even one step farther of making it where you have staff that help advisors. You do collaborations on client meetings or client cases. Do you think can you come up with a better idea than this? Or here's our situation. You guys help with operations. You help with any of the compliance stuff. You all are up to date on everything that Cetera is doing, so that your advisors don't have to be reading every little thing. They can listen to you and then see what needs to change, or if something new came along that they didn't really realize was there. You guys bring it forward.
Absolutely. Let me, if you wouldn't, Elicia, could you, I'm going to come back to you, Joe, but if you could give everyone a little bit more color in terms of the size of our office, the locations, who we support from a geographic perspective, I think would help. Maybe you can get into that for us.
So real quick, you said 12,000 advisors, but how many, and that's like Cetera Financial
Cetera
Group.
as a whole.
How many at Specialist?
1,200.
1,200. Okay. So then MRO, we're about 90, 95-ish advisors in our region. So we service Missouri, Eastern Kansas, Southern Illinois. Basically, we try to get a geographic location of anywhere between 4 and 5 hours because we want to be sitting next to the advisors and their clients if we need to. Our office is staffed with 21 folks. We have 3 owners, 3 partners, Mark and his 2 business partners, 21 staff. We do have an office in southern Missouri as well that we support other advisors out of as well. But 21 folks, and each of those people don't necessarily support the MRO community, if you will, but they are in, helping advisors and clients. So, for example, Mark's also a financial advisor. His 2 business partners are financial advisors. We have teams that support them as well, and our MRO team help support those folks. So not only are our guys in client meetings and stuff getting more hands-on experience, they're providing that to our advisors because you're sitting along the client every day, right? To be fair. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. So 90 advisors. Again, the footprint, we want to be able to, if someone, phoned us, we want to be able to get there within 4 or 5 hours to actually sit down with the client and with the advisor if we need to.
Right. And I was so excited to introduce you guys.
You forgot to
And introduce myself.
I noticed.
You noticed. Why didn't you say something to
You were
me?
doing great.
I was on a roll.
You knew who was important.
Okay, so just to clarify, my name is Mark Finke, and I'm a regional director here in the Missouri Regional Office for Cetera Financial Specialists. I'm also the managing partner here of MSMF Wealth Management, our firm. So I think Elicia kind of made a good point before I go back to you, Jill, that we are in the business every day. I think that's a differentiator for our office and advisors who affiliate with us because we understand the challenges, we understand the problems, we understand the fun with compliance. So in our case, it's Cetera that we have a fantastic compliance group. They are our friends, work very closely with them, but we're in the business on a day-by-day basis, so we get it. And to Alicia's point, there is a specific geographic region, at least for the MRO, that we want to support. Jill can speak to kind of some of the other regions in terms of, that's how Cetera Financial Specialists is organized. But we're looking at if we can get in a car and be there in 4 or 5 hours, we can actually support an advisor and their clients. And Jill, on that end, let me ask you, because I always joke because I say, the great thing about Cetera Financial Specialists is all the resources,
Right.
and the terrible thing about Cetera Financial Specialists is all the resources. So if you wouldn't mind, take a minute and talk about the vast array of resources, both what I'll call front stage, client-facing, and maybe backstage, behind-the-scene operations type resources.
Well, front stage, hands down, the number one thing is probably our research team. So Gene Goldman is always getting called to be on a ton of networks and what our thought process is of what's coming up for the future. So they have a whole thing on the website that you can always look up where we are from a country and internationally and what they think is going to happen with the market. We have the advanced planning team who will jump in with very difficult cases. We've got a trust services team. So if you have that father who does not want his child to have that money, we set up that trust. On the back end, then you have a whole support team. So you've got the resource center, who normally you would call into to ask anything of, but they have specialties in them. You have the MVP team. So if you're at a certain level, you're going to get the same 4 people all the time. So so they can really get to know you. You have me, you have your internal. So
And us.
And then you would have you guys, which is why I like being and why I wanted to do this podcast, is because I think MRO has a unique thing. I've seen you guys work with clients, and especially like the widows. You're amazing at that. I loved that you were working with young females to show them that, financial services is something they could go into. And then I feel like you have a very collaborative office also, where your internals here will talk through cases and help do paperwork so that the job can get done. And I think that's where we have a lot. You are right. So there are things that could potentially go wrong, but then we have a lot of people that will help you. But the best thing is anybody who joins the MRO office has you guys, so that you can work the gears to get all the way through the cogs.
Yeah, I think to elaborate on that real quick, just to what makes us different, and you and I have worked together for a really long time. It's the resource center is great, the MVP team's great. We call them on behalf of our advisors.
Right.
So like our advisors don't have to sit on hold, and not that there's I'm just saying they don't have to. Like we know the questions to ask, we know how to dig in a little bit deeper, and I think that helps a little bit with those. But we do have a lot of stuff.
You also know, like, all right, how does compliance really want to hear that? How are we
Correct.
supposed to write
Yes.
that? Or wait,
Yes.
that exception for that annuity, how should we, what are
Yeah.
the points we really need to bring up?
Yep.
Right.
That comes with experience.
Yeah, Jill, let me ask you this, because you kind of touched on it a minute, and it's a big thing for us, and I'll get back into this, but I think you're obviously out there. You know the other broker-dealers that are out there, the competition, so to speak. You know what's being provided. You know, obviously, what we provide. You mentioned that, in terms of what we do in this office, and I know what Cetera does nationally, if you could share, we're very focused on, obviously serving advisors. We know that the advisor community as a whole is predominantly a male-dominated field.
Very.
However, we are very focused on what I feel to be, in some cases, the unique and important needs of female advisors. So if maybe you could talk about that a little bit and let everyone know kind of how we feel we're different than some other affiliation down the street.
Well, I actually see it just from a statistical point too, though, because in our industry, 16% of the financial services industry are female. So you're right, it's highly dominated by men. However, when we look at CFS, we actually have a high level of female advisors. We're over that. We're at 18% for CFS. And we, for the first time ever, we could have the panel that was top females.
Right.
Like, they deserve to be there. They
Right.
were the top. They beat out all those guys.
Right.
So it was great. For MRO, you guys are even better than that. You're at 20% female. And I think, maybe it's because you're a good girl, Dad, but you do have an ability.
I hope they're trying to adult, but we'll see.
But you do, there's just that want to include females and to highlight females and to create more of an environment where it is kind of collaborative and working towards common things.
Yeah, and I would say that myself and my two business partners noticed quite a few years ago that there was unfortunately a tremendous lack, first of all, just in general, of young people coming into this business.
Yes.
This business as a whole is aging out, right? Yep. And not a lot of young people coming in this business, and the demographic for young women was far worse. So we've made a concerted effort here in the Missouri Regional Office here in St. Louis to try to expose the opportunities within wealth management to young folks. We have several different programs that we sponsor here, and specifically young women, to try to get them to go on a career track within college and take a look at this business, because there is a lot of opportunity. There's a little gray hair here, right? Most advisors have a lot more gray hair if they have hair. So there's great opportunity. And I think we as a firm, we as a broker-dealer do a great job, I think, serving what I think sometimes are unique and important needs of the female advisor community.
I agree. Number one thing that I love is that you work with an all-girls school to show them what it is to be a financial advisor. I think that's great.
Yeah, I will tell you, greatest money I ever spent was sending my daughters there, because the payback has been immense, just monetarily, let alone the rest of it. So, all right, thank you very much, Jill. Elicia, I'm going to come over to you, and I want you to talk a little bit. Jill talked about all the resources. There's a lot of resources from a, let's say, top-level broker-dealer perspective, but there's a lot of things specifically we do here in the MRO, your team does, the advisors do in this office to help our advisors in the region. Maybe you could walk through some of those and be specific about what we're doing to help these folks grow a bigger, better, more satisfying wealth management practice.
Sure, absolutely. So we take it a little bit deeper into, I guess, like table discussions. So we're going to do, like Jill mentioned earlier, a lot of client strategy. So back up a little bit. My team has 4 direct people that support advisors, I guess. We have a broader, what I'll call rep development team that meets and kind of goes over like strategies of like, what are we going to do for our advisors for this year? What does that look like? How many meetings are we going to do for education? What can we do for the CSAs in our business, the assistants? So we do a lot of that planning and more strategic type stuff with a big, broader based team. We also have obviously a recruiting team that meets, and we do that stuff as well. More strategy, I would say. But client strategy, so Jill mentioned, like we're going to, we have a lot of clients or a lot of advisor clients that call and say, okay, I have this case and, this is the need. And, maybe I don't want to do a full-blown wealth management plan or e-money plan or Money Guide Pro plan or whatever it is. Like, walk me through the strategy, walk me through this product, walk me through, what you think is best for the client. Maybe they're talking about portfolio management, but then we've uncovered a life insurance opportunity or whatever it is. So a lot of that goes on. I have a dedicated person on my team that's just dedicated specifically to that, does a really good job. We also have operations outsourcing. So a lot of the complaints that we get in our region is like, okay, this business is just inundated with compliance and paperwork and all these new regs that are coming out from the SEC and FINRA, and I don't want to adopt to them or whatever. So we're starting a program here. We're staffing for it. So it's called operations outsourcing. So basically advisors would outsource their operations to us and all the things that they don't want to do, the paperwork, getting ready for meetings, whatever that looks like, booking appointments. We do that for our team, for our advisors. Another thing that we're really, really good at, and I think you do a fantastic job of this, is just the coaching and development of advisors. And again, that goes back to the strategy, but what we're doing right now, an example, an advisor, we actually sat down and putting an advisor and his assistant through our master's group plan, which we took, 2 years and worked with a group of about 25 advisors and coached them through their vision and mission and basically building their business plan for them. What's their segmentation look like? How do they run their wealth management practice? What are their processes and procedures? So we do a lot of that, a lot of private coaching. We're getting ready to launch a second group here soon to kind of that next gen advisor, maybe a succession. Maybe you have a younger advisor in the office and you want, to train that younger advisor to take on that book of business. So a lot of that, a lot of development, and basically just we do a lot of that, cater to what the advisor need. It's not like we're going to bring the advisor and put it into our plan.
Never.
We're taking the plan and putting it into the advisor's office. Like, what do you need from us? What do you need coaching on? What do you need help with? We do a lot of Zoom meetings with that too. One of the good things I'll say about my team is we, advisors will call and say, okay, I need help with how to process this annuity, and we'll jump on a Zoom call and walk them through how to do it. So you get a lot more hand-holding than if you called the resource center. Again, they're great, but you get a lot of more one-on-one attention. Compliance, obviously, that's my baby, and it sucks. Let's say that. But obviously, we have to have it. So we do a compliance call every month with our advisors just to make sure that they're abreast and they know what's changing in the industry, what's changing at Cetera in response to the industry. So a lot of that more hand-holding. If a form comes out and somebody doesn't understand why we're doing it, we kind of walk them through that too. So, and the resources, a lot of resources at Cetera. So we try to pick, certain things that we can teach the advisors to focus on, because there is a lot of things like, okay, what do you want to do in your practice? What do you want to focus on? Are you fee-based? And we'll dive a little bit deeper into things that you should know as opposed to the whole gamut of all the things. But again, completely catered to what the advisor needs. It's not like, some affiliated firms will say, okay, no, you're going to buy into our solution, but our solutions really cater to what you need. So.
And some will also say, okay, so here's everything, go figure it out.
Right.
Where you guys help really work with an advisor on where they want to be and what they prefer.
Yep.
And then you can help them narrow down on, okay, out of all of these, let's focus on, these 20.
Correct. So more hands-on, more specific, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a lot.
Yeah, and I would say hands-on to the level that someone wants.
Correct.
Right? Customized growth plan. Again, what is the definition of the wealth management practice someone wants?
Yep.
Some people come to us and affiliate with us. They're very happy with the size of their practice. They may need some more expertise, which
Correct.
Between the three partners here and the staff we have, there's, at last count, there's almost 100 years experience just between the three of us. So we've seen a lot and been through a lot.
Yeah,
right?
you guys are old.
Very old.
I'm so glad you're on this podcast.
And I think he might be the youngest, just kidding.
And so, Jill, let me ask you. So, like I mentioned before, what's out there. Other broker-dealer affiliations. You know what they're offering to prospective advisors. Somebody's sitting across the table from me here right now. What are the 2 or 3 things that it's the main reason why you're urging them to consider affiliating with Cetera Financial Specialists and what we bring to the table?
I really think the first thing is that you allow people to be who they want to be. So if they're happy with their practice right now, you don't jam down like goals that they have to meet. Instead, it's, okay, well, how do we keep you out of compliance nightmare so that you can keep doing what you're doing? And how do we make sure you're on top of these things? So you focus differently. And then when you get somebody else who really kind of was stuck, but they do want to grow, you figure out, okay, well, let's see what is sticking you. Let's get to that. And then let's jump to the next thing. And they have somebody they can always call. You have the guys under you, you've got you guys, and they're not just out there on their own. So that's where I feel like it just is such a tight group too. And they don't all like each other, your advisors, that's for sure. But they like that they're part of the group.
Yep.
I agree. And even though you called me old, I'm glad you're here today. So, Elicia, last word for you. Let's take what Jill just said and go one step further. You're sitting across the table. You're heavily involved in our recruiting process. You're heavily involved in our onboarding process with new advisors. What is it that you see most recently in terms of why advisors think affiliating with Cetera Financial Specialists in the Missouri Regional Office is where they want their practice to be?
Yeah, I think you hit it for me. It's the onboarding process. I think people get, we have a fantastic onboarding process, I think, transition through that to come over to Cetera, but I think my team, we take it to the next level again, where we're setting in on all those calls. We're looking at your book of business. We're helping you, and then we're providing training. Cetera provides training, but then we're doing more training. Okay, maybe you don't need to understand this program because there's a lot of stuff. So let's dial into what you need, and then we're going to show you what you need like within the next few weeks, and then we're going to work with you after that. So my team really gets on the phone and says, okay, well, this is the Cetera way of doing it, but then this is the way the MRO does it, and we're going to partner together, and it's going to be even better. Right. And I think like the onboarding team really appreciates that because we hone in on why we're different, because we do process things a little bit different sometimes. But just building and solidifying that relationship in the beginning and having my team on the phone knows that, okay, you're going to call us and we're going to take care of it at Cetera for you, which I think is great. Because a lot of people, let's just face it, they don't want to call the resource center. They want to call us. They're also in a very uneasy time period when you're transitioning. So to know that you have dedicated people that you can regularly talk to and that they are actually helping and kind of getting all the way through, not just starting it, but all the way through, that's huge. It makes a difference. So I would say that that's one of the things. And we just onboarded an advisor within the last year, and that was the one that his office was very appreciative. He actually left Cetera and came back to Cetera and was very just impressed by the whole process and very appreciative of the fact that we were at every corner. Right. And I did talk to him like on Saturdays and Sundays too, which is fine. But just knowing that we were there for him, I think that it made a big difference. So the relationship part, I think we solidify the relationship at A before we even get to Z, which I think is good.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say to both of you is that Cetera at the national level and us at the regional level, the focus isn't really on what we're claiming the promises are. The focus is really on delivery.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed.
It's not what you say you're going to do; it's what you do.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's, I mean, under promise, over deliver is really kind of the way that we walk the talk.
Yep.
So, hey, I appreciate you taking the time listening today. The next thing is, where do we go from here? And my suggestion is, let's have a chat. Any one of the three of us are available to talk to you, talk about your current situation, maybe talk about where those pain points are in your current wealth management practice, and maybe, how a potential change could alleviate some of those pain points. I know we've had several people over the last probably handful of months, 12 to 18 months, have come to us because they lost the work-life balance. Mm-hmm. And we can help get that back and maintain the efficiency of the practice and even add a lot more. So again, let's have a chat. You can shoot us a text. You can shoot us an email. You can do the old-fashioned way, pick up the phone and call us. We're here. We'd love to have a conversation. We certainly can connect you with one of our existing advisors to get kind of some unbiased feedback in terms of are we actually under-promising and over-delivering? So again, thanks for taking the time. Look forward to talking to you all soon. Take care.